Oh, are we live, baby? Are we live? I think we're live. This is my listless little young one. She's joining me today. As you can see, she's a little under the weather. Her fever's broke, but she's nom, 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 nom. She has plenty to say too. Wait your turn, honey. She had 103 fever yesterday and into today, and putting amoxicillin down her throat has been rather traumatic for her. I think we're getting better at it, but it's been a bit of a learning experience for all of us. So anyway, the reason I'm doing this broadcast, really briefly, is Justin, Matthew, David, Michael, Greg. Wait, he's not the only one with last names. Justin Fowler, Matthew Lewis, David, Michael, Greg, and myself, and somewhat Daniel Baber too. We're having a conversation in private message about systematic theology and defining God, categorizing God, making God fit into a box. And I made the audacious statement that I I fully reject systematic theology for myself. Now, as is the habit, you'd think people would catch on by now, but I like saying statements that sound like they're saying a lot more than what they're really saying. Because I like getting people to think, you know? I like getting people to actually engage it and know where I'm going with it, rather than just throw out a few defined terms and be like, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like, no, 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 no. There's an exploration here. Because I mean, this is the existential influence that I've had lately, not influence, but bent, I guess you would say, is that it really is, it's not about anti-intellectualism. It's not about anti-epistemology. It's not about anti-conceptual constructs to help you to understand a thing to a deeper level. What it's about is transcendence and the experience of that transcendence that by definition is beyond definition. So these are all roads: systematic theology, personal experience and testimony, evidence, reasoning. All of these are the roads that we take, and they are necessary roads because we don't just skip parts of the journey. Okay, we got to get there. So I do not reject systematic theology as being untrue. I reject it as being insufficient. So Matthew and Justin were talking about how we are to worship God with all of our mind. Well, I feel like in submitting that need for things to make sense, I am. Because quite often, and I'll tell you why I think this is a wonderful thing, quite often things do not make sense and will never make sense, and I hope they never do. What am I talking about? I can talk about unspeakable crimes in humanity, or I can talk about the miracle of childbirth. I mean, we can understand biology, we can understand, you know, the mechanics behind it, but where did this experiential self come from? I don't know, and I don't need to know. She's a part of me, she's a part of Michelle, she's us. That's enough for me. Delving deeper into it robs it of some of its vitality. Because it gets you thinking that you know a thing when you simply know about a thing. And what I mean by that is, by interfacing with a thing, an idea, by interfacing with people, that is how we know them. Okay? We can read about them, think about them. That's how we know about them. But to really know a person, for me to really know my daughter, you know, showing her a picture of me hugging her, holding her, and kissing her has no comparison to her actually being in my arms. And that's what I'm talking about, is to stop looking at God from afar and to just fall into his arms and let him embrace you. To see what he shows you. And if it doesn't make sense, then let it not make sense and just go with it. It's either real or it's not. And if it is, if it's real, how could you rob yourself just because you need it to make sense? And I don't know if this is saying fully everything that I want to say about the issue, but I think it's a good entrance into the discussion, because I want you to understand what I'm not saying. Of course, I mean, we're still in the midst, and we're going to get back to it, the Universalist show with Jason Pratt. So obviously, I haven't discarded systematic theology. What I have done is I have realized how insufficient systematic theology is, and how it has none of the answers that I am looking for right now. And I think that it's a good place to be. So this is I might make another recording later on today to follow up on this, or maybe we could all jump on together and have a conversation. Um, I really want to hear people's thoughts in the comments below, and below the video, because I want to. I know a lot of people are uncomfortable appearing on video, but there's a lot of really deep thoughts out there that come through on Facebook, where and the people won't come on here. So maybe you can leave your comments below the video there, and we can go from there and actually have that, because I think I agree with everything that Matthew and Justin was saying. I just don't think they got where I was coming from, which is cool because it was intentional. I don't want that. You don't want to show your cards, okay? And when you're trying to make a point to someone, one of the tricks is to not tell them what you really think. Because the moment you're presenting an idea to someone and you give them the idea in that abstracted form of language, you've given them your idea, but are they working with it? Will they own it? Are they, running with it? And so I like to give hints to where my thought process has led me, to see if others can follow into that thought process with me. It's not me being obtuse. It's not me playing games, and it's not me being dishonest. All I'm trying to do is get a journey going. Get a dialectical journey going, where we're exploring these things deeply, and perhaps my entrance into the journey is with misconceptions that need to be corrected. Well, that's kind of the whole point of doing it together, isn't it? So thank you very much for your input, and I hope to continue this conversation a lot. And my baby mwah, would like to say hi. Say hi. Hi. She says hi. She says daddy. She says all kinds of stuff, except for when she knows people are looking. Or when they're expecting it of her. Isn't that right, my baby? All right, folks. Trying to keep this one brief. Hey, did we make it under 10 minutes? I guess we'll see. We won't if I don't get off. So you guys have a great day. Wandering Pilgrims rock! Experience God. Quit trying to define him. He's not a math equation.